What do you think will be the top 3 benefits that HS2 will bring to the UK?
So HS2 will do 3 things for the UK. First, it will put massive capacity into our rail system. We're going to put all the high-speed trains on a new dedicated system. That allows us to put much more local and freight services onto the existing railways. So there's a massive long-term capacity benefit. It will connect all the major cities of this country, London, Birmingham, Manchester, but obviously beyond that as well. So that connectivity is really important. We talk about levelling up in this country. The London and South East has got an amazing transport system. It's much more connected and frequent services than the Midlands and the North. So HS2 is really a project for the Midlands and the North, and connecting that will be, I think, profound to sort of drive economic growth for this part of the country. And then finally, we're going to have to decarbonise our economy. Climate change, global warming is one of the biggest things facing the planet, and our transport system in the UK is now the biggest generator of carbon. And the greenest way to travel around our country will be on train, is on trains and will be on trains. So I think HS2 has got a really important part to play to reduce carbon and us to become a much greener country.
How will HS2 reform the rail freight industry?
Yeah, I think what HS2 is going to do to freight is something we've still got to work out. But the fact that we're going to put massive capacity in the system, if you think about the section between London and Birmingham, it's a 4-track railway. Freight tends to work over night time, some freight trains during the day, but it's a heavily passenger-used railway. So again, if you create that capacity with a high-speed system on a new dedicated line, then I think it creates massive opportunities to move freight around the country. And if we come back to this point around carbon, I think that one freight train is worth about 70 lorries in capacity for moving freight. So the opportunity to really drive the way we move goods and materials around the country through using more trains, I think is an important step forward for us.
How is HS2 improving the skills gap for the rail and construction sector?
Yeah, I think our skills agenda has been one of the most, it's always been part of our strategic goals to have a sort of skills and employment initiative as part of HS2, but I think like being here at RSS is just a case in point. There are so many people joining the industry. We're able to retrain people that maybe have left the industry, bringing people in from other walks of life. And obviously we're creating this workforce that's now 28,000 strong. That's going to probably grow, we think, to somewhere around 35,000. So of course we need that workforce to deliver HS2. But of course once HS2 is built, we leave this legacy of capability for engineering, construction, but all the other services that support the construction of the railway. And I think that's going to be one of the most important things that HS2 will leave behind.
One of the aims of HS2 is to improve social mobility and to create supply chain opportunities across the UK. How will this positively impact underrepresented groups and communities?
Yeah, I think there's lots of good examples already where HS2 is, I've often referred to it actually as a social mobility project. If you think that we've got this slight imbalanced economy where London and the South East has got much higher levels of sort of prosperity than many other parts of the country, investing in HS2 here in the Midlands, but as we go further north, is going to create opportunities for business. We've got now getting on for over 2,500 companies working on HS2. 90% of those are UK-based companies, and over 70% of them are SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, which are really the lifeblood of the UK economy. And that's all sorts of different businesses who can support the programme. So our whole supply chain engagement sort of initiative, making sure that we drive the value that we invest into to build HS2, really drives down into all corners of the economy, because this isn't just about businesses along the line of route. You know, I've been to Kent and I've been to Wales and I've been to Scotland and I've been to the West Country. You know, there are all sorts of businesses providing goods and services. And I think that's all part of that sort of social mobility question you ask, which is it's the investment by the government in this project is getting into the UK economy and creating opportunities in places that probably we hadn't foreseen. And my hope is that that does continue to have that sort of impact of social mobility, and we'll be able to get to communities, create opportunities. I mean, a training centre like this as a vehicle to bring local people in, some who've never been anywhere near construction or the railways or in engineering, and actually train them from almost scratch to learn to become part of a competent, safely worked person on our railway, I think is just a great example of where we're having that impact, and we're getting to those communities that probably otherwise might get left behind.
What unique skills and benefits do SMEs bring to the HS2 project?
Yeah, I think SMEs are the lifeblood of this project. I mean, obviously what we do at HS2 is contract with what you call the big tier one organisations. But we've made it very clear to them they need to drive their requirements into local businesses. And whether that's, and of course, the other thing is people often think of it as just an engineering construction project, but we need transport and logistics and catering. I've visited businesses in Coles Hill that are in the business of buying and then doing up and renting homes for workers. So there's a lot of property and all the issues around what it needs to do then property maintenance. And so I think when we stand back and look at how we create a workforce of, as I say, now it's nearly 28,000, it's going to grow to the other side of 30,000. That whole workforce has got to get to work, you've got to keep it safe, it's got to be fed and watered, people need their hair cut, people need to get their groceries, people need to get their petrol. So there's a sort of ripple effect of all these organisations right along the HS2 route are helping to provide and make sure we've got the workforce we need. So I think the SMEs are an absolute sort of lifeblood and a part of the DNA of what I call the HS2 family.